If you've ever planned on crafting a legendary in Guild Wars 2, then you already know there's one item that always drains your wallet. Mystic Clovers. They're shiny, they're rare, and they have a way of disappearing faster than your gold. So today, I'll tell you everything you need to know about Mystic Clovers, how to get them, why they're so important, and the fastest way, specifically for you. Huge shout out to my dear supporters for helping me keep the lights on. You're absolute legends. And now, without further ado, let's jump straight in. What are Mystic Clovers? Mystic Clovers are the core ingredient for almost every legendary in the game. Legendary weapons, legendary armor, even legendary sigils and runes. You can't buy them on the trading post. You can't trade them with players. They are account bound. But there are multiple ways to get them. Some are fast, some are cheaper, some are infinite and very expensive. Before we talk about how to get clovers, why do we need so many of them? Mystic Clovers are required for legendary weapons, especially Generation 1 and 2, which require more than Generation 3. Legendary armor, legendary trinkets, and legendary skins, like the Oreen skin. There are a lot of Oreen skins. Most legendaries need somewhere between 15 and 77 Mystic Clovers. So if you ever want to craft even one legendary, start collecting now. Let's start with the classic, the Mystic Forge. Back in the early days of Guild Wars 2, the Mystic Forge was the only way to get clovers. And yes, it's still infinite, but it's also the most painful for your gold. Here's the recipe. 1 obsidian shard, 1 mystic coin, 1 glob of ectoplasm, and either 6 philosopher's stones or 10 mystic crystals. Mix it all together, hit forge, and you've got around a 30 to 32% chance to get a clover, or 10, depending on the recipe. Of course, for the 10x recipe, you get 10 mystic clovers for 10 mystic coins, 10 obsidian shards, and 10 glob of ectoplasm. On average, you'll need about 3 tries for 1 clover, or for 10 if you're going for the 10 recipe, which means lots of extra materials burned in the process. If you're crafting big, use the 10x recipe to save time. But once you're close to your target number, switch to the 1x recipe. That way, your variance goes down and you waste fewer materials. So here are some drop rates for all the nerds. So if you want to have 1 Mystic Clover with the normal recipe, then you would have on average need to spend 3.2 Mystic Coins, 3.2 Obsidian Shards, and 3.2 globs of ectoplasm, as well as 1.94 Spirit Shards for 1 Mystic Clover. Okay, the Forge is RNG and expensive. So what about smart farming? Weekly vendors. These are the most reliable ways to get Mystic Clovers. No gambling, no stress, just farming and buying. Here's the breakdown. Fractals. 10 Mystic Clovers per week using fractal relics and some of the currency used normally for Mystic Clovers as well. It goes for all the vendors. Raids. 10 Mystic Clovers per week with magnetite shards. Strikes. 5 Mystic Clovers per week with Blue Prophet shards. PvP. 5 Mystic Clovers per week with PvP tickets or tournament vouchers. World vs. World. 5 clovers per week with World vs. World tickets and badges of honor. These methods are consistent. They don't depend on RNG, and they use currency you're likely earning already if you play those game modes. There's also the Mystic Forge vendor. It's more expensive but guarantees your clover. It doesn't need specific currency. It's a perfect start if you want certainty, but it's also the most expensive, and you can only get a limited number there as well. And so if you now want to get the Gift of Fortune, which is one of the most common gifts that you need for legendaries, only from one weekly vendor, then that would, for example, be from the Fractal vendor, would need 154 Mystic Coins, globs of ectoplasm, as well as Spirit Shards, and of course 11,550 Fractal Relics. If you would go for a raid version instead, then you would need 2,310 Magnetite Shards, or if you go for the Strike version, 2,310 Prophet Crystals on top of the Mystic Coins, globs of ectoplasm, as well as Spirit Shards. By the way, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. But now to the next topic. Now, let's talk about the best deal in the entire game, the Wizard's Vault. Every 3 months, roughly, with each Wizard's Vault season, you can buy up to 20 Mystic Clovers. Each one costs you just 60 Astral Acclaim. No RNG, no fortune, no tiers. It's the most cost-effective way to get clovers, period. Just make sure you don't skip it each season. But what if you want infinite clovers without selling your soul to Sumoros? Reward tracks are the answer. In PvP and World vs. World, Repeatable tracks give 2 clovers each. Non-repeatable tracks give 7 Mystic Clovers. But of course, they are not repeatable, so you cannot farm them indefinitely. There are only so many of them. If you're more of a PvE player, there's one map that also works, Drizzlewood Coast. You can farm achievements and map currency there to progress the reward track. It's slower, but technically also infinite. So if you've got time, not gold, this is your path. Quick recap time. The Wizard's Vault is the best value and guaranteed. The weekly vendors are steady and reliable. The reward tracks are infinite but slower, and the Mystic Forge is also infinite but expensive and RNG heavy. Combine these methods and you will have a smooth clover farm without going broke, or at least not as far. My recommended way to get the Mystic Clovers. I would start by always buying the Mystic Clovers from the Wizard's Vault. Even if you don't want to craft a legendary right now, you will thank me in the future if you ever want to do that. Just stock them up. It's very cheap, always get that first. Then if you need more, probably you need more, then you would just go to the weekly vendors. Go to all of them that you can afford. So if you don't play raids, of course you don't have any raid currency and cannot purchase the Mystic Clovers from the raid vendor. But get as many as you can, and of course always consider that if you, for example, go for the legendary raid ring, for example, then you might need Magnet Knight shards, the currency from raids, for the ring, and don't use it on the Mystic Clovers, but try to get as many of the weekly vendors done to get as many of the Mystic Clovers of this, so to say, Mystic Clovers on sale. That would be my next step. And if you do it very patiently, you will stock up on Mystic Clovers as well. And after that, then you have 2 options. Either you go to World vs. World and PvP, or even Drizzlewood Coast and farm infinite amount of hours to get more reward tracks and get the Mystic Clovers that way. Or if you're really desperate and really need all Mystic Clovers right now, then use the Mystic Forge. But the last 2 steps are infinite, and you would always go for the non-infinite ways before, because they're way more lucrative. So that's my recommended way. Of course, this is only my recommended way. It means that if you as a player play only one single game mode, you might have way less access to the weekly vendors, and then therefore you should adjust it to your needs. So if someone plays insane amounts of hours in PvP or World vs. World, just repeat the repeatable reward tracks with Mystic Clovers, and of course get the non-repeatable ones before that, and you will probably have a huge stock of Mystic Clovers anyway. But of course, if you're a PvE only player, you should probably go way more to the weekly rewards vendors than a PvP or World vs. World player. Stuff like that needs to be considered, and of course, like I said, Wizard's Vault is insane value, always get that. And the Mystic Forge, don't get me wrong, it's definitely not bad, but it's definitely the worst of those options, and you only really do the Mystic Forge if you want the legendary today. And if you can wait a week, it's always better to wait a week, because then you get another reset of the weekly vendors and save up on some Mystic Clovers that you might have to gamble for and lose a lot of money in the Mystic Forge. And that's it. Everything you need to know about Mystic Clovers. I hope this helps you save gold and craft the legendary without pulling your hair out. If this video helped, leave a like. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're on the legendary grind, check out my next video of the best gold farming methods. Huge thanks again to my dear supporters, you're amazing, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.